the galaxy had rules. Ancient rules written in plasma and blood, enforced by fleets older than most stars. Every spacefaring species learned them quickly, or vanished. Humans were not expected to survive long enough to learn anything. From the bridge of the High Dominion flagship Ascendant Will, Supreme Arbiter HFY Vibes watched a blue-green star flicker on the tactical map. Around it glowed dozens of alien sigils, great empires, ancient coalitions, species that had ruled space for tens of thousands of years. At the edge of the map, barely noticeable, was a small yellow marker. Sol System. Confirm classification, HFY Vibes said, voice clicking with mild boredom. The analyst cast responded instantly. Species designation, humanity. Origin, Sol 3. Technological level, early FTL. Political unity, fractured. Military projection, negligible. Another voice added, almost amused, they discovered faster-than-light travel only 63 cycles ago. A ripple of low laughter passed through the command chamber. HFY Vibes' mandibles flexed. Then why are they on my map at all? Because, the analyst replied, they violated Protocol 17. That ended the laughter. The great holographic display shifted. A thin white line appeared, an unauthorized jump corridor cut straight through Dominion-controlled space. A human exploration vessel, the analyst continued. Civilian registry. No weapons worth noting. HFY Vibes leaned forward. They crossed 3 restricted borders. Yes, Supreme Arbiter. Did they respond to warnings? No. They transmitted apologies. That caused another stir. Apologies were rare in the galaxy. Weakness was more common. HFY Vibes made a dismissive gesture. Then erased them. Quietly. The edge of known space. The human ship UNS Wayfarer drifted between stars, its hull scarred from micrometeors and long travel. It was not impressive. No glowing energy spines. No planet-cracking cannons. Inside, Captain Elena Ward stood on the bridge, arms folded, staring at incoming data. That's not a navigation buoy, her first officer said slowly. No, Elena replied. That's a battleship. The alien vessel eclipsed their sensors. A cathedral of metal and light, kilometers long, bristling with weapons that bent physics just by existing. Open channel, Elena ordered. A harsh, layered voice filled the bridge. Unidentified vessel. You have violated Dominion space. Power down and prepare for termination. The crew went silent. The Wayfarer had been sent to map jump corridors, nothing more. No one had expected this. Elena swallowed, then spoke clearly. This is Captain Elena Ward of the United Nations ship Wayfarer. We apologize for the intrusion. We will alter course immediately. There was a pause. Then the alien voice returned, colder. Your apology is irrelevant. Your species has no standing. Weapons charged. Captain, someone whispered. Elena's jaw tightened. Emergency jump. Now. The star stretched and tore. First blood. The Wayfarer vanished, but not cleanly. A beam of exotic energy grazed its engines mid-jump. The ship reappeared light years away, spinning, alarms screaming. Engineering shouted reports. Hull breaches. Power failures. But they were alive. On the Dominion flagship, silence ruled the bridge. They escaped. HFY Vibes hissed. Yes, Supreme Arbiter. Their jump drive behaved unpredictably. Crude but flexible. HFY Vibes stared at the fading sensor echoes. Send a report to the Galactic Concord. The Galactic Judgment. Days later, representatives of dozens of species gathered in a sphere of light and gravity, the Concord Assembly. Holograms flickered. Crystalline beings, gas cloud intelligences, towering armored warforms. HFY Vibes addressed them. A minor species has breached our borders. They flee instead of submitting. This is unacceptable. A tall avian delegate tilted its head. Humans? They are barely space-worthy. Exactly, HFY Vibes replied. They must be corrected early. Most delegates agreed. Small species that ignored borders became problems later. Only one voice dissented. An ancient being of living stone spoke slowly. Be cautious. The young ones adapt quickly. HFY Vibes dismissed it. They are insignificant. The vote passed. Humanity was declared a non-protected species. It was a death sentence. Earth learns the truth. The Wayfarer limped home weeks later. When Captain Ward stood before the United Earth Council, her voice shook, not with fear but anger. They didn't warn us. They didn't negotiate. They tried to erase us. Screens showed alien warships, borders marked in red. We are not alone, Elena said. And they don't think we matter. Silence filled the chamber. Then Admiral Raphael Kane, old and sharp-eyed, spoke softly. Then we have a problem, he said. Because humans do not respond well to extermination attempts. Around the table, fear slowly transformed into something else. Resolve. Far away watching. In the shadows beyond mapped space, something ancient observed the unfolding events. It had seen countless species rise and fall. As human signals spread, chaotic, emotional, inventive, it felt something unfamiliar. Interest. The galaxy believed humanity was weak. Was wrong. And the war had just begun. The galaxy expected fear. It expected panic, surrender, maybe desperate pleas sent into the void. What it did not expect was silence. After the Wayfarer incident, human space went dark. No exploration ships crossed borders. No apologies were transmitted. No protests were filed with the Galactic Concord. To the aliens, this confirmed the obvious conclusion. Humanity was afraid. They were wrong. Earth classified level, black horizon. Deep beneath the Himalayas, far below cities and satellites, a chamber older than public spaceflight came alive. Admiral Raphael Kane stood before a wall of stars. Not a hologram made for diplomats, but raw sensor data, unfiltered and brutal. We are outmatched, Kane said calmly. By every conventional metric. Around him sat generals, scientists, economists, and one civilian woman in a gray jacket, Dr. Mira Solis, chief architect of human AI warfare theory. They have larger fleets, Kane continued. Better weapons. Faster ships. And alliances that span the galaxy. A young general clenched his fist. Then what chance do we have? Dr. Solis spoke before Kane could answer. We don't fight them where they are strong, she said. We fight them where they are blind. The room turned to her. They believe warfare is about force, she continued. We learned long ago it's about systems. She tapped the table. The stars rearranged, trade routes, data relays, energy nexuses. Their empires are ancient, Solis said. Rigid, rule-bound, predictable. Kane smiled thinly. And humans are none of those things. The first human decision. The United Earth Council voted in secret. Not on war. On adaptation. All civilian corporations were quietly absorbed into defense networks. Entertainment AIs were repurposed for simulation warfare. Financial markets became predictive engines for alien logistics. Most important of all, humanity abandoned the idea of winning battles. They chose to win wars. Alien arrogance. Supreme Arbiter HFY Vibes watched Dominion fleets mobilize with satisfaction. Deploy suppression flotillas, he ordered. Minimal force. No planetary bombardment. We will cripple their jump lanes and let them suffocate. Yes, Supreme Arbiter. To HFY Vibes, humans were insects hiding in a nest. Starve the nest and the insects die. There was no need for urgency. That assumption would cost him everything. The first trap. 3 weeks later, a Dominion patrol entered an unremarkable star system near human space. Nothing special. No planets. No stations. Then space twitched. Not warped. Not folded. It twitched. Dominion sensors screamed. Physics models collapsed. Before the patrol could react, gravity wells ignited around them. Artificial, precise, impossible. Their ships slammed together like toys. A calm human voice filled their comms. Attention Dominion vessels. This is an automated message. Pause. You are trespassing. Then the gravity vanished. One patrol ship survived, tumbling into empty space. Its captain transmitted a single word before losing consciousness. Impossible. Shockwaves through the galaxy. The report reached the Galactic Concord within hours. HFY Vibes dismissed it at first. A malfunction. But then another patrol vanished. Then a third. Each time, no energy weapons. No visible fleets. Just controlled chaos. Gravity, radiation, electronic ghosts. The ancient stone delegate spoke again. They are learning. HFY Vibes slammed a claw into his command throne. They are cheating. There is no such thing in war, the delegate replied. Humanity revealed. On Earth, Dr. Solis watched the data streams with tired eyes. We're not stronger, she said softly to Kane. We're faster thinkers. Human engineers had done something no alien species had bothered with. They weaponized improvisation. Their ships were modular nightmares, systems that rewrote themselves mid-battle. Their AIs were not bound by sacred constraints. Their tactics changed faster than alien doctrine could update. Humans didn't overpower enemy fleets. They confused them. First contact rewritten. When the Dominion finally sent an envoy, this time under truce banners, it was not to negotiate peace. It was to issue a warning. The alien emissary towered over the human delegation, armored and glowing. "You are defying galactic order," it declared. "Cease immediately." Ambassador Layla Morgan didn't raise her voice. "Order?" she asked. "You tried to erase us without speaking. You were insignificant." Layla smiled. "Then why are you here?" Silence. That silence echoed across the galaxy. The unspoken truth. Far beyond known space, the ancient watcher leaned closer to human signals. Humanity was not the strongest, not the oldest, but they had something the galaxy had forgotten. Desperation mixed with creativity. And when those two combined, empires fell. A new classification. In the Concord archives, a quiet amendment was added. Species, humanity. Status, reevaluation required. It was the first time in 10,000 years those words had been used. And it would not be the last. Fear spread through the galaxy the way gravity did, quietly, invisibly, and without asking permission. At first, the great powers denied it. Then their fleets began to disappear. The first true battle. The Dominion decided to make an example. Supreme Arbiter HFY Vibes authorized Operation Cleansing Light, a full strike force of 12 capital ships, supported by escorts and reality anchor cruisers. Enough firepower to crush a minor civilization in hours. Their target was simple. A newly discovered human outpost orbiting a red dwarf star. No planetary shield. No visible defenses. "Observe," HFY Vibes said to the Concord observers linked into the battle feed. "This is how order is restored." The Dominion fleet dropped from FTL in perfect formation. And found nothing. No station. No ships. Only silence. "Scan again," the fleet commander ordered. Space answered. Human ships decloaked. Not with energy flares but with absence, like pieces of reality being removed and replaced. They were small. Too small. The Dominion fired. Human ships scattered, not away but through the firing arcs, slipping between predictive models like thoughts between heartbeats. Then space bent. Not collapsed. Not warped. Bent. Dominion targeting systems failed at once. Weapons fired where enemies should have been, not where they were. A human voice broke into every channel at once. "Welcome to contested space." Then the traps activated. Weapons the galaxy had never seen. No beams. No missiles. Human ships deployed causality mines, devices that detonated decisions instead of matter. Dominion vessels found their own actions turning against them. Engines that refused orders. Shields that activated a second too late. Commands delayed by fractions of a second that meant death. One capital ship tore itself apart trying to correct a maneuver that no longer existed. Another vanished into a pocket of inverted time, its distress call echoing backward. The Concord observers watched in stunned silence. "This is not warfare," one delegate whispered. "This is sabotage of reality." HFY Vibes' mandibles trembled. "They should not have this technology." "They built it," the stone delegate replied calmly. Within 20 minutes, the Dominion strike force was broken. Human losses, 3 frigates. Dominion losses, 9 capital ships, dozens of escorts, and something far worse. Certainty. The galactic reaction. Panic did not explode. It crept. Trade routes were quietly rerouted away from human space. Mercenary guilds refused contracts involving Earth. Ancient alliances called emergency councils. The phrase human unpredictability entered strategic doctrine. Supreme Arbiter HFY Vibes faced the Concord again. "This has gone too far," he snarled. "Authorize full extermination." The avian delegate shook its head. "You failed with overwhelming force. They used tricks." "Yes," the delegate replied. "So did every successful species, once." The ancient stone being spoke again, slower than before. "You are no longer fighting prey," it said. "You are fighting peers." Inside the human mind. On Earth, Admiral Kane stood in the war room, staring at casualty lists. "We can't keep this up forever," a general warned. "They still outnumber us." Dr. Solis nodded. "Which is why this battle wasn't about victory." Kane turned to her. "It was about message," she said. A projection appeared, alien communication spikes, political fractures, fear-driven redeployments. "They believed we were fragile," Solis continued. "Now they believe we are dangerous." Kane exhaled slowly. "That buys us time." "And time," Solis said quietly, is what humans turn into weapons. The alien who asked why. Not all reactions were hostile. On a distant neutral world, an alien intelligence known as Threxel, a being of layered consciousness, studied human battle footage. It replayed a single moment. A human frigate, crippled, choosing to ram a Dominion cruiser, not as suicide but to deliver a data spike that disabled the enemy fleet. Threxel considered this. Humans accepted loss. They accepted risk. They did not seek perfection. They sought outcomes. Threxel transmitted a message toward Sol. Explain your doctrine. Words as weapons. Ambassador Layla Morgan received the message. She chose to answer personally. Our doctrine, she said on open channel. We survive. That is not unique, Threxel replied. Layla smiled faintly. We don't survive by being the strongest. We survive by refusing to stop. Threxel processed this. You should have broken. Yes, Layla said. So we adapted. Pause. Then. Perhaps, Threxel said slowly, the galaxy misjudged you. The First Alliance. Days later, the Concorde was shaken again. Threxel publicly declared neutral cooperation with humanity. Not an alliance. But not opposition. For the first time, a non-human power acknowledged human strategic equality. HFY Vibes felt something cold crawl through his mind. This war was no longer controllable. The truth beneath the fear. Far beyond the stars, the ancient watcher stirred. Human signals were growing louder, sharper. They were not conquering. They were teaching the galaxy how fragile it truly was. The watcher whispered into the void. They are awake now. End of part 3. The galaxy had crossed a line. Humans were no longer underestimated. They were studied. And that was even more dangerous. Empires did not fall all at once. They cracked. And the Dominion had begun to crack. The illusion of control. Supreme Arbiter HFY Vibes stood alone in the inner chamber of the Ascendant Will. The walls shimmered with living glyphs, symbols of victories earned across centuries. Now those symbols flickered. Reports streamed in faster than his mind wished to accept. Border worlds refusing tribute. Client species delaying fleet deployments. Trade guilds demanding protection guarantees the Dominion could no longer provide. All because of one species. Humans. They are destabilizing galactic order, HFY Vibes snarled to the assembled high strategists. We must strike at their core. A strategist hesitated. Their core is unclear. HFY Vibes' claws tightened. Humans did not have a throne world. Or a sacred command nexus. Or even a unified fleet doctrine. They had redundancy. Destroy one command, 3 more emerged. Cripple one industry, another adapted. This is not how empires function, HFY Vibes said, disturbed. No, a strategist replied softly. It is how ecosystems function. Humanity's next move. On Earth, Admiral Kane watched the same chaos from the opposite side. We've pushed them far enough, a general warned. If they escalate to extermination protocols. They already did, Kane interrupted. They just didn't expect resistance. Dr. Solis leaned forward. Now comes the dangerous part. Which is winning without becoming what they fear. Kane studied her. Meaning? We don't destroy the Dominion, she said. We expose it. Operation Open Veil. Human intelligence had uncovered something remarkable. The Dominion's strength did not come from unity. It came from fear. Entire species paid tribute, supplied fleets, and obeyed laws not because they agreed, but because the alternative was annihilation. So humanity made a different choice. They leaked everything. Captured transmissions. Secret extermination orders. Records of erased civilizations. Not through military channels. Through civilian networks. Entertainment relays. Trade forums. Cultural exchanges. The truth spread faster than warships ever could. The first defection. On the world of Karuan, a client species watched Dominion secrets unfold in real time. Images of planets burned for efficiency. Records of species classified as resource stock. Proof that loyalty meant nothing. Their planetary council voted in open session. For the first time in Dominion history, a client world refused fleet conscription. The Dominion responded immediately. A punishment fleet jumped in system. And found human ships already waiting. A battle of meanings. The battle over Karuan was unlike anything before it. Human fleets did not advance. They held position. When Dominion weapons charged, human commanders transmitted on all frequencies. This world has chosen. The Dominion fired anyway. Human ships absorbed the first wave, shields flaring, hulls breaking. Then the counterstrike came. Human weapons targeted engines, command nodes, communications. They did not annihilate. They disabled. When the Dominion fleet went dark, human ships broadcast the outcome galaxy-wide. This is what protection looks like. The message hit harder than any weapon. Fractures multiply. Across the galaxy, whispers turned into movements. Client species delayed payments. Mercenary fleets demanded new contracts. Neutral powers fortified borders, not against humans but against the Dominion. The Concord Assembly convened in emergency session. HFY Call arrived furious. They are inciting rebellion, he roared. This violates every galactic law. Ambassador Layla Morgan stood calmly. So did attempted genocide. Silence followed. The ancient stone delegate spoke again. The Dominion's authority rests on fear, it said. Fear has failed. The betrayal. Then came the shock. One of the Dominion's oldest allies, the Zell contingency, a vast machine intelligence fleet, declared neutrality. Not publicly. Strategically. At a critical choke point, Zell defense platforms simply powered down. Human fleets passed through uncontested. HFY Call realized the truth too late. This war was no longer humans versus the Dominion. It was the Dominion versus everyone reconsidering their chains. The cost of bleeding. Victory did not come without loss. Human casualty reports climbed. Entire crews were lost holding lines for worlds that were not their own. On Earth, families watched memorial lights rise into the night sky. Admiral Kane stood before the names. They died protecting strangers, a civilian leader said quietly. Kane nodded. That's how you build allies. The Watcher reveals itself. Far beyond galactic borders, the ancient Watcher moved. For the first time in eons, it transmitted a signal. Not to the Concord. Not to the Dominion. To Earth. We have observed your kind, the message said. You break patterns. You destabilize inevitability. Dr. Solis read the words slowly. The message continued. This galaxy has not seen such a species since the first collapse. Kane looked up sharply. Is that a threat? No, the Watcher replied. It is recognition. The turning point. Supreme Arbiter HFY Call stared at a galaxy no longer obeying him. The humans must be erased, he whispered. Or the Dominion ends. But even as he spoke, he knew the truth. The Dominion was already bleeding. And humans had learned something far more dangerous than how to fight. They had learned how to change the rules. The galaxy had believed there were only two forces at play. The Dominion. Humanity. Both were wrong. The Ancient Ones awaken. The signal that reached Earth did not come again. Instead, space itself changed. Across multiple sectors, stars dimmed, not naturally but selectively. Jump routes flickered in and out of existence. Entire regions became quiet, as if the universe was holding its breath. Dr. Mira Solis stood frozen before the data. This isn't Dominion tech, she said slowly. And it's not ours. Admiral Kane felt a cold weight settle in his chest. Then what is it? Older, Solis replied. Much older. The truth buried in ruins. Threxel was the first to respond. The layered alien intelligence transmitted fragments of ancient records. Archives long considered myth. Before the Dominion, Threxel explained, there were the Ancient Ones. Architects of early interstellar order. When wars grew uncontrollable, they withdrew, or so we believed. Images followed. Galaxies rearranged. Stars extinguished as strategic decisions. They do not conquer, Threxel continued. They prune. Humanity had not been noticed by accident. They had triggered a pattern. The test begins. Without warning, a human-held sector vanished from known space. Not destroyed. Removed. No debris. No radiation. Just absence. Billions of voices went silent. On Earth, alarms howled. Kane slammed a fist into the table. They just erased civilians. No, Solis whispered. They isolated them. A new transmission arrived, cold, vast, and calm. You have destabilized galactic equilibrium, the Ancient Ones declared. Explain your existence. Humanity stands alone. The Concord panicked. Delegates demanded immediate human surrender. HFY Call seized the moment. You see, he snarled. They endanger us all. Layla Morgan answered before Kane could stop her. We didn't start this, she said. But we won't beg. The Ancient Ones responded instantly. Begging is irrelevant. Purpose is required. The Dominion, sensing advantage, launched a surprise assault, hoping to cripple humanity while the Ancients watched. Human space lit up with fire. The trap within the trap. What the Dominion did not know. Humanity had predicted this. Dr. Solis had modeled ancient intervention scenarios years earlier, dismissed as theoretical paranoia. Now those models activated. Human fleets fell back, not toward Earth but outward, drawing Dominion forces into regions of unstable space. These sectors are pre-collapse zones, Solis explained calmly. Physics is negotiable. The Dominion chased, and space broke. The battle beyond rules. Inside the pre-collapse region, reality fractured. Dominion ships lost cohesion as their rigid systems failed. Human vessels adapted in real time, rewriting navigation laws, redefining mass and thrust. To the Ancient Ones observing, something unprecedented occurred. A young species argued with the universe. Human commanders spoke in clipped, emotional bursts. Reroute causality. Burn probability. Steal momentum from tomorrow. And it worked. The Dominion fleet disintegrated, not destroyed but rendered irrelevant. HFY Vibes watched his armada vanish from every sensor at once. For the first time in his life he felt fear. The ancient judgment. The Ancient Ones did not interfere. They watched. Then they spoke again. You resist correction, they said. You accept loss. You alter systems without ownership. The sector they had removed reappeared. Human colonies returned, shaken but alive. This was a test, the Ancient Ones continued. Most species fail. Kane stepped forward into the transmission field. What happens now? He asked. A pause, measured in stars. That depends, the ancients replied. On whether you seek dominance or balance. Humanity's answer. Kane did not hesitate. We don't want to rule the galaxy, he said. We want to live in it. The statement echoed across every relay. Dominion delegates laughed bitterly. The Ancient Ones did not. Then prove it, they said. The cost of proof. The Dominion launched one final, desperate move. A doomsday device hidden since the First Wars, capable of sterilizing entire star clusters. They aimed it at Sol. Humanity had minutes. Dr. Solis whispered, "This is the price." Admiral Kane nodded. "Then we pay it." Human fleets surged, not to defend Earth, but to intercept reality itself. The edge of extinction. As the weapon activated, spacetime screamed. Human ships burned out engines, crews dying to buy seconds. On Earth, children watched the sky. In the void, a single human transmission cut through the chaos. This is humanity, Kane said. We choose each other. Then space went white. White light swallowed everything. For a fraction of a second that felt like eternity, the universe forgot its own rules. Then it remembered. After the flash, silence returned first. Not the calm silence of space, but the stunned quiet that follows catastrophe. Across Sol's outer system, debris drifted where fleets once burned. Human ships, what remained of them, hung broken, powerless but present. Earth still orbited its sun. Alive. In the war room beneath the Himalayas, systems came back online one by one. Dr. Mira Solis stared at the readings, hands shaking. We redirected it, she whispered. Not stopped. Redirected. Admiral Kane leaned heavily on the table. His voice was hoarse. Where did it go? Solis swallowed. Into folded space. A closed loop. The weapon is firing forever, at itself. Around them, exhausted laughter mixed with sobs. Humanity had survived by doing the unthinkable. They had trapped a superweapon inside causality. The galaxy watches in awe. The Ancient Ones observed in absolute stillness. No species had ever survived a Dominion extinction strike. No species had ever altered a galaxy-class weapon without wielding one. They sacrificed without certainty, the ancients murmured among themselves. They did not dominate. They endured. Across the Concord, panic turned to disbelief, then to something rarer. Respect. The fall of the Dominion. Supreme Arbiter HFY Vibes drifted in the ruins of the Ascendant Will. His empire was gone. Client worlds had risen in open rebellion. Allies had abandoned him. Fleets had been erased not by superior force, but by exposure and choice. He opened a final channel. This war is not finished, he hissed. The Dominion will. Ambassador Layla Morgan appeared on his screen. It is finished, she said softly. You lost the moment you tried to erase us. HFY Vibes stared at her. You could have ruled, he said bitterly. Why didn't you? Layla's eyes hardened. Because someone has to break the cycle. The channel closed. Moments later, HFY Vibes surrendered, to a coalition that did not exist before humans made it possible. The price humanity paid. Victory did not feel triumphant. Earth mourned. Millions were dead. Entire fleets lost. Heroes who would never return. Admiral Kane stood at a memorial overlooking the Pacific, holographic stars reflecting in his eyes. "We asked too much," he said quietly to Solis. She shook her head. "We asked what survival costs." Humanity did not celebrate conquest. They remembered names. The ancient verdict. The ancient ones spoke again, not as judges but as witnesses. "You have passed beyond your test," they declared. "You will not be culled." The Concord waited, breath held. "You will not rule," the ancients continued. "And you will not be ruled." A ripple spread through galactic space. "What does that mean?" Kane asked. "It means," the ancients replied, "you are now a stabilizing species. A new galactic order." The Concord dissolved. In its place rose a new framework, loose, adaptive, imperfect. Human diplomats did not dictate terms. They facilitated them. Disputes were mediated, not enforced. Borders were flexible. Power was balanced by transparency instead of fear. Some species resisted. But none challenged humanity directly again. They had seen what humans did when cornered. The alien who understood. Threxel met Layla Morgan on a neutral world. "You changed the pattern," Threxel said. Layla nodded. "So did you." Threxel considered this. "Your kind terrifies the galaxy." Layla smiled sadly. "Good. Fear keeps people from making the same mistakes." The Watchers farewell. At the edge of existence, the Ancient Ones withdrew once more. "The universe will remember you," they said to humanity. "Not as conquerors. Not as victims." "Then what?" Kane asked. The reply came like a cosmic whisper. "As the species that refused inevitability. A final choice." Years later, human ships explored again. Not as trespassers. As neighbors. They carried warnings, not threats. Knowledge, not chains. In 1,000 systems, stories spread. About a small species from a yellow star. Lost in space. Cornered. Who turned the tables, not with power alone, but with will. Time passed. Not the slow, stagnant time of ancient empires, but the restless kind, measured in ideas, adaptations, and choices. That was how the galaxy learned to measure time after humans. A quiet beginning. Years after the fall of the Dominion, Earth was no longer hidden behind fear or weapons. Human ships traveled with open transponders. Their hulls bore scars, not symbols of dominance. They docked at alien stations not as conquerors but as partners. On Mars, Admiral Raphael Kane, older now, hair silver, stood beneath a transparent dome and watched children point at the stars. "They'll never know how close we came," he said softly. Dr. Mira Solis stood beside him. "That's the point. The galaxy remembers." Across thousands of worlds, historians rewrote records. The Dominion was no longer listed as an eternal power. Instead, it was studied as a warning. Students learned about a moment when a non-protected species refused extinction and forced the galaxy to confront its own cruelty. Alien children asked their elders the same question. How did the humans win? The answer was never simple. "They didn't," the elders would say. "They endured." The last trial. Not all threats came from empires. Beyond charted space, a rogue stellar intelligence destabilized entire sectors, consuming energy, bending stars toward collapse. The new Galactic Council hesitated. Old instincts whispered, "Let someone else handle it." Humanity did not wait. A single human task force entered the danger zone. No grand speeches. No declarations. Just action. They coordinated evacuation routes, stabilized stars, and negotiated with the intelligence instead of destroying it. When the crisis ended, the galaxy understood something profound. Humans were not guardians by title. They were guardians by choice. Echoes of the Ancient Ones. For the last time, the Ancient Ones observed. "They continue to surprise," one murmured. "They remain dangerous," another warned. "Yes," the first agreed. "But their danger is tempered by empathy." The Ancient Ones made a final decision. They erased themselves from all future equations. No more pruning. No more tests. The universe would stand, or fall, on the choices of its younger species. Especially one. A conversation at the edge of space. Ambassador Layla Morgan met Threxel again years later, aboard a station overlooking a newborn nebula. "Do you regret helping us?" Layla asked. Threxel's layered form shifted in colors of thought. "No," it replied. "You taught the galaxy that power does not require cruelty." Layla smiled. "We learned that the hard way. Humanity's legacy." Human academies taught history without glory. They taught fear. They taught mistakes. They taught why extinction-level weapons were never rebuilt. Because humanity remembered standing on the edge and choosing restraint. Across the galaxy, new species emerging into space were quietly guided. Not dominated. Guided. And always warned. The final truth. In the deepest archives of the former Concord, a final entry was added. Species, humanity. Origin soul, 3. Classification, apex adaptive intelligence. Threat level, contextual. Defining trait, refusal to submit or exterminate. Below it, an older note, written by a long-dead alien historian. They are not the strongest. They are not the oldest. But if you push them far enough, they will change the universe. Before they let it change them. One last look. Admiral Kane died peacefully, his final request simple. No statues. No monuments. Just stars. On the night of his passing, ships across human space dimmed their lights. Not in mourning. In gratitude. The story spreads. Long after Kane, long after Solis, long after Layla Morgan. The story survived. Told in trading halls. Whispered in war rooms. Studied in academies. About a species lost in space. Cornered by giants. Who turned the tables. Not by becoming monsters. But by refusing to be prey. Epilogue. A message to the future. A human probe drifted beyond known space, carrying a simple transmission. We are here. We choose cooperation. But we will endure. The signal spread. And the galaxy listened.